This
All
is
right,
it.
all right, all right.
This is it.
Welcome. Last one.
Last
Last
one.
ride on the rod. So sad.
It's been a ride.
It has indeed.
It's been a
Absolutely
ride.
devastating. Everyone falls off their rod at some point, though, you know?
Gravity will win eventually.
Exactly.
Gravity will get you. For those just tuning in, you might be wondering what on earth this is. This is our rodeo. We have been doing live streamed mice experiments, as you can see. This has been going on for 7 weeks. This is our 8th week, and this is our last round on the rod.
It's crazy.
It's been
It's
seven
been such
high
a ride.
octane races, 7 high-octane races, and this is the last one.
Yeah. The mice have been aging, but it's certainly been getting more heated up each time. I would say the last one was very tense. We'll see what this one brings. But yeah, right now we got the males warming up. They do like a quick 5 minute warm up. You know, boys got to get the legs loose, and yeah, we'll hop right into the race as soon as the warm up's over. Um, but yeah, maybe just kind of as a recap, the goal here is to see, do any of the compounds that were launched on Pump Science improve the endurance of the mice? So some of them receive control, some of them receive riff, some of them receive euro, and the goal is to see, are any of them performance enhancing, right? And the reason we test in aged mice is because we want to see, does it actually reverse the aging phenotype, right?
Mm-hmm.
If all you did was took young mice and you wanted to make them run as fast as possible, you would give them like amphetamines, right? You'd give them meth, and that would just make them run the fastest and have them, you know, give them the most endurance. But what we really want to see here is like, what in a way that's healthy improves their endurance. So yeah, that's why we're here. This is the last one. This is actually the most important data point because this will be the final score, basically, of like whether or not the drugs are working. And the mice are already going backwards, so that's great.
That's awesome. Love that
So
for us.
that's
Love that
perfect.
for us.
Yeah.
You can't control everything, you know.
Yeah, control everything.
Just can't. I was gonna say we like to think of ourselves as a cracked lab, but we're not in the business of being a actual cracked lab. So just testing natural compounds.
Totally.
Well, and riff.
Julian, are we gonna have any guests later?
We do. We have someone stopping by from the Molecule team. Super excited to have them join. Molecules kicked off a new initiative called DSci EDU. So for people who maybe are, like lurking around the DSci space or trying to figure out how to get more involved in DSci, or even just like what on earth is DSci? DSci EDU is an education initiative that Molecule is kicking off. So someone from the Molecule team will be popping in and really sharing more about that initiative, which we're super excited to give them a platform to do. So they will be popping in, and they said about 30 minutes. So excited to have them on, and it'll be cool to see their reaction to the rodeo.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Can't wait.
I know a lot of people watch it, but like, it's different to be in the arena with the little guys as they're running.
I mean, last week was also an emotional roller coaster. I'm pretty sure I laughed, cried, screamed.
I only cried. No laughing here.
It was a real thriller last week. Let me tell you. It was so, maybe this week we'll have just as much promising action, but yeah, last week was, man, it was really
heated.
It was really something.
It was heated.
Benji, okay, maybe we get people up to speed who weren't at last week's rodeo. Why it was heated?
Yeah, so I mean, like, we're kind of at a point where the experiment is, almost done. And I mean, we're trying to like have the experiments be unbiased, but we ourselves are very biased. We want winners, right? We don't want to just like, submit a bunch of compounds that slow the mice down. We want to show that they actually can make the mice move faster. That's like the signal that we're looking for. And so, wait, are they running yet, or is this still the warm up? I can't tell.
Let me check.
I can never tell.
This might be it.
And
First run.
First run. Okay. I guess here we go. But yeah, I think the the tough part about last week was that the mice that are taking Euro, which we kind of want to win, honestly, were not performing as well as they could have. and yeah, they weren't exactly winning, which was our hope. So we're here rooting for the Euro mice still, which is I think for here it's just Kevin Durant. So in the third mouse from the left
Let me pull up their
is taking
names
Euro.
here.
So yeah, pull up the names. But yeah. So as much as like we're trying to be unbiased scientists here, like, nah, screw that. We
got a mouse in this race.
Yeah, we definitely have a mouse on this race. We just started selling Urolithin A as a supplement, and so like we would love to be able to say it makes mice run faster. Like I bet you've never logged in on to like buy supplements and there's a claim of like it makes mice run faster. Like we think that would be pretty cool to be able to make that claim, but in order for that to be the case, like the data has to look a certain way. And so here we are, just fingers crossed, everything crossed, hoping that, that actually, oh, and there's Kevin. And there's Kevin. Oh my God. And there he goes. And there he goes.
This is why I cried last week. This is why I cried.
Let the crying begin. Oh my God. Oh my dear God. Does Euro work? Not on Kevin.
Not for Kevin. I think the question is, does Kevin work? Not Euro. I think Kevin doesn't have what it takes.
I think Kevin, what are you doing, Kevin? What are you doing down there?
He's trying to he wants to be on the screen talking. No. Oh, look, the fans. All right, we've got some questions, Benji. Roll it in. From a qualitative point of view, which mouse has been doing the best?
That's a great question. I can pull up the scores historically. I don't know if I added last week's in, but let me pull up some R Studio and we can get into the data. You wanna go deep? Let's go deep.
Let's go deep. Take us down.
Oh, give me a sec.
Who is this? Harry Bonds? No. Mice Jordan. Still on the rod. Look at Kevin.
He's like the audacity.
He seems like he's plenty of energy down there.
I know. He's fine. He's just like he doesn't want to leave it all out on the rod,
No. He's like the new Elon Musk.
Yeah. Literally. Maybe Euro just makes them smarter, and so they just, want to go chill. They realize they don't have to run, and they don't.
Okay, wait. If you guys haven't seen the video that we dropped on our social, you have to go watch it of them speed running the simulation. It was so good. So good.
I hope people are liking those videos. Like, I love them.
I think they've
been amazing. I think they've been incredible.
Fam, let us know. Have you been watching the rodeo series where the rodent is leading the simulation? And do you like it? Because I think they're a riot. I know they're a little bit longer than what we, normally see on social, but it's been an emotional roller coaster of a series. Drop us a comment.
I definitely get emotionally attached to them watching them.
I think with the level of detail in that, like in the last one when they get loaded up in the car and he's like, okay, I love you. It's like, it's so real. It's so good.
So good.
The kid in the back just like overfed cheese.
Yeah. In the high chair or in the car seat?
Yes. Okay, the commentators, that was that animation was impressive.
Yeah, it's like high quality content. Oh,
yeah.
We got to screen here later.
You got it. Yeah. Okay, rookie.
Yeah, okay.
Is this your first rodeo?
It is, clearly. It's literally my first rodeo.
Jeez.
So it depends what you mean by like from qualitative. So in terms of which mouse started off the fastest, by far the OG, Lionel Mousy, basically was already at like 3,000. Or no, I think this is off by a factor of 10. So 300 seconds per ride, which is basically 5 minutes. So, as you can see, like all the other data points are much, much lower in terms of where they started. Lionel basically started at 3,000. The question of who is the best now, still Lionel Messi, right? Who's, received Euro and basically like improved. I think actually after last week, I think this has gone down a bit. We'll replot this for last week, but yeah, I mean, I think the goal here is like, I think the way to look at these plots is like these mice are aging. And so, as they get better at riding the rod, their times improve. And then at some point, like the age starts getting to them. And so they start declining, right? So there's probably some sort of like arc here that you're trying to reduce the down, right? Like you want it to like plateau as much as possible. So anyway, I can pull up the latest set of data and to like replot with last week's, and maybe we can look at this a little bit more up to date. But I think that's kind of like the general expectation is that
Yeah.
look, you'll get some improvement as they just get more fit and they practice. And age, they're not, they're like middle age, they're not necessarily like end of life, but yeah, at some point the age is going to get to them and they're going to fall off the rod faster, right? Because they're just getting older.
I think the bummer was too, like we set the 5-minute mark on the rod, really thinking that was like a tough goal for them. And then, yeah, like the two, I don't know, 3 of those dots was Lionel Messi, like, uh, sitting on the rod because it turned off. So
Yep,
note to self, 10 minutes on the rod, next baseline.
100%, obviously. Um, and yeah, like also it's just like statistically, you don't really think about this stuff from the beginning of like, oh, some of the mice are going to be better than others. Like it's probably going to be harder for them to improve than a mouse that starts off like with a really shitty time, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, like how much, I know we did one baseline testing. Is that like typical, just one baseline?
I mean, like it's technically three baselines, right? So
Yeah,
because for the
that's true.
first run, there's three data points. It's a little, you're able to get like a more
Yeah,
rigorous,
that's fair.
single data point that's the average of like the first three. So I think you get a solid baseline.
Wait, we need
But
to look at Elon Musk
yeah, yeah.
baseline.
So it's a great question from Mael, which is can they be bored by the rodeo? Is there any mouse psychology insights to know? It's a great question. You can actually pull back up the graphs and
That is
take a
deep.
look.
That is
It's a
deep.
it's a deep question, and the answer is like so from like data that we've gathered. So this orange mouse here is Elon Musk, who unfortunately passed away, RIP.
R.I.P.
But if you can look at what happened with Elon Musk, his times got worse. While everybody else's was getting better, his got worse. And so, like, what the heck happened here? If you go back and watch the previous rodeos, like the first four, you'll see Elon basically figured out that he didn't need to run on the rod. And so he would just turn around and jump off, right? Because, like, it's supposed to be the fear of heights that keeps them on. But if they're not actually scared of heights or they realize that it's not that bad, then clearly they just jump off because
Oh my
like
God, Elon, nerves of steel.
he had no desire to run on this rod. And so I don't know if it was like he was really lazy or he just like wasn't afraid of heights, something. Or he just kept getting smarter and just realized that like he was gonna fall off anyway. Might as well not have to run first. And so yeah, I think we learned a little bit about mouse psychology here, just like watching his behavior of like as the rodeos progressed, he realized faster and faster that he actually didn't need to run. So it's an interesting question. Cool. Homie's coming
That's
back. Okay.
interesting. Maybe you could add some little rewards for longer rides.
Mm, I like it. I think the interesting thing here about the incentives is like, is it the carrot or the stick, right?
Yeah.
Like, and when you start introducing those types of rewards, like, do you start testing for other things? Like, do you start testing for like which mouse is the hungriest? Like that's the one that will respond to the reward the best. Um, I agree. Maybe we should be rewarding them for staying on the longest.
Like, what would it be? Because don't they get unlimited food? Isn't
They
it
have
just like a
unlimited food.
Ponderosa?
It's literally a freaking hometown buffet. Infinity
MCO
food.
cafeteria, whatever you
Yeah.
want, whenever you want it.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a good question though.
Michael would have to tell us, like, what do
Yeah.
these legends want?
Yeah, we have to give them something. Otherwise, like Elon, they're just gonna jump off.
Literally, they're like, there's nothing in it for me. Oh my God, Ponderosa, shout out. Have you ever been
Okay.
to a Ponderosa? Or is
I
that
don't
like
know.
a
I don't know what Ponderosa is. I'm
stop,
so sorry.
stop.
I'm sorry. Am I uneducated or are you just
No,
from the middle of
no,
nowhere?
I'm just like in middle of America. So it's like probably like a true Midwest thing. Okay, a Ponderosa is like literally an all you can eat buffet. I don't even know if they're
Amazing.
still around. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are Ponderosas still a thing? Midwest. Oh,
Midwest.
Midwest. I don't
Nah.
know how to take that.
Um, I
It's
mean, like we both live in the Midwest, so I don't think we could be out here criticizing. It would be very ironic if we were,
very,
but from the
very.
West Coast, so West Coast, Best Coast. I think that just sounds better. It's also more true.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, man. Okay.
Except when it's not on fire.
You know what?
Yeah,
That was unreal.
yeah, no fires
Unreal.
here. No fires here in the
None.
Midwest.
In the Midwest, I feel like with global warming and uh coast going underwater where I live, I'm like, I'll be all right.
You'll be all right. You're
I'll
next
be
to
all
like
right.
some of the biggest freshwater bodies in the world. I think you'll
Far,
be okay.
far enough down.
And with global warming too, like it'll heat up a little, you know? So like, in 50 years it'll just be like a warm city like next to huge lakes. Kind of the move.
Kind of the move. Kind of the
Kind of the
move.
move. Okay, I'm just sorry, I'm not
We need to
distracted.
dive in.
I'm pulling up
You
the
know what?
video.
I was really feeling the Eminem last week. That was like a real vibe.
I think
I
we
should.
gotta get a little bit more freaky. Like, can you get some like Snoop Dogg in here?
Oh, it'll take me a minute. Is it worth it?
I don't know. Well, I mean, might as well get something going.
Yeah, here I'll do. Let's see. Mm,
You know what song's been stuck in my head? Do you know
what?
That's That Shit by Snoop Dogg?
No, I don't know that one.
Dun 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 dun. Oh my God, Kevin's gone.
Kevin's gone.
Kevin's gone.
God, I was picking a track and Kevin bounced. Jeez.
You got a pulse check on Kevin.
Wait, this is so loud. Sorry. Just like out of rage. There we go. There we go. Kevin bounced.
Can we get a pulse check on Kevin? Is he alive?
Did he just RIP on the rod?
I can't believe
No.
it.
I'm so disappointed.
He lasted like 4 seconds.
I'm so disappointed. I honestly wonder if it's a thing of intelligence. Like, I feel like the ones who have the most. I mean, I don't know. Like, I have no idea. Maybe.
I don't know.
But I just feel like it seems like they fall off the rod because they're like outsmarting it, not from like a capability standpoint. They just don't want to.
I'm in shock. I don't know what to say. Maybe we need to get like an instant replay and see what the heck happened. Like, did he jump off? I don't know, Chad. I looked away for like 2 seconds.
I know. I was deep in the track, so next thing you know, he's gone. Gone.
Was
I'm
someone
curious.
watching? Like, did they see? Did anyone like observe?
What happened? I feel like we got to get some of these people from the audience into the rodeo.
I think so.
Anyone want to come in? You don't want to? Oh, he seems to have a bad night.
Okay, I'm watching the replay right
Yeah,
now.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
What?
Someone said he seems to have had a bad night. I think they're right.
Yeah.
I think they're
No,
right.
he tried to hold on.
Man.
He did try to hold on.
Mm-mm-mm. I mean, maybe he was up too late watching March Madness games. You know?
Yeah. How did
Just
Purdue
been
do? I
a-
didn't look.
I didn't look either. I was like too busy. I didn't even know March Madness started because I've been just so into pop
Logged in.
science. Yeah,
Oh my God.
I was like, oh, it's almost March. Basketball must be starting. We're like halfway through the tournament.
Yeah. Oh
Who do you
my
guys
God.
have taking home the prize, winning the tournament?
The big cheese?
This big cheese or that big cheese?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, Purdue's, I mean, we're so unsteady. It's just not going to happen, but it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Wait, is there Northwestern? I feel like normally would throw Purdue off their game. Are they not?
Did we
Did they
make the tournament?
I don't think.
Yeah. It's
Did
it's like a
UNC make the
toss-up.
tournament?
It's a toss-up if they make the tournament or not every year.
I don't even know if you like my other UNC if they made the tournament or not. I don't know.
3, 1, 4.
How does the replay look? Do you have it?
Yeah, I watched the replay and he tried to hold on. I hate to break it to
Tried.
you. This was not him like outsmarting. This was
Quitting.
just like him trying and failing.
No.
You hate to see it.
You hate to see it, honestly.
Here, I can show this game real quick.
You know, I wish that I don't think the music just like plays top to bottom. Like it's a bit to like click every little.
Yeah. Look, like he's trying. Homie is trying.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Whoa!
You
Wait,
hate
what
to
is it
see
like?
that.
Do or do not? There is no try.
Yes. Okay,
Oh, with
Yoda.
you. Is that what it
You run
was?
some
Is that
code? You run
Yoda?
some code? You run some code?
Show it. Show it. This is Benji's Cracked Lab right here. Hold on, let me kill the beats.
So we're doing this is our studio. We're just coding R a bit to make some pretty plots. R is the best language for plotting. Okay, so here's the most up-to-date data from last week.
Okay, okay.
So it looks like the control mice just like all improved. Like,
Rebounded.
did they just like give all of them Euro or something?
That's like the ultimate bounce.
Yeah, like they just fully rebounded.
Dang.
Yeah, and then, I mean, like actually all of them kind of bounced, except for Lionel.
Yeah.
Lionel did not bounce.
Did not bounce.
Did not bounce.
Quite the opposite. Anchor.
But yeah, I mean, like the fact that the controls are just doing so much better than the drugs, like I'm starting to ask questions here. I'm just trying to say, like, is there referee interference? Are they switching up which drugs they give the mice to? Or are they just like, give us that one? What's going on here?
I mean,
Anyway, I think you're starting to get like a pretty clear sense of what Rift does, right? Like this
yeah.
actually looks pretty tight, but who knows what's going on over here and like why do they rebounded so much? Like I'm asking questions.
Same. I also wonder, like, Benji, is there data on how long, like in this, I mean, 8 weeks would be enough time to see an effect, like to start to understand the effect of the compound. Yeah.
Totally.
It just like, I don't want to like live in the past, but it would have been wild to see how long Lionel was so freaking strong week after week, and like it just kills me that we held her back because the rod shut off. And there's no way of knowing what those little dots on the line would be, but man,
You
it
can't
doesn't
turn
change
back now.
how it's ending, but
You can't turn back now.
no.
But yeah, I do
Man.
wonder, like, should we maybe be testing on young mice? Is there just too much variability here with the old mice?
Yeah.
Matt Caberline when I spoke to him, he said we should be doing aged mice. So that gave me
He
some,
did. He
yeah,
agreed with
that
the
gave me,
approach.
yeah, he agreed with the approach. Um, he's like a famous longevity researcher, for those who don't know, but
Yeah, you had the chance to sit down with him on this podcast.
yeah, he's really freaking smart. And he was just
He's
on
really
Atia's podcast, which is cool.
what?
He just
I think
published.
I actually think I did see that.
Yeah. Atia was wearing some pretty hilarious like fit and try
Can
to
you
pull
get
it up.
Matt's I need Matt's full fitness
Yeah, no,
regimen.
but yeah, the dude is jacked. The
Oh my
dude
God.
is jacked.
I mean,
This one is like the most recent one.
we also had him on the Pump Science Twitter space. We should kick that back up because
Yeah, we should.
he did come through on our side.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not this.
Do you guys, I think that's one thing too, like we'd love to get a feel for. Benji and I were having a conversation just around like longevity education and how valuable our community would see content like that. Would you guys like to hear hear from different biohackers or different biohacking tips, or bring in more longevity experts? We did it with Matt and it was so fun to have him through, but would love to hear if that's the type of info and like content you guys would find really interesting. Drop us a comment. Speak to us. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay, I see you. I see you.
Yeah, maybe drop some other like longevity people that you're interested in hearing
Yeah,
from.
longevity people, topics you want us to cover, like things you'd want us to learn more, you'd want to learn more about. Like we're happy to work on that content. Just let us know. Tell us what you want.
I'm trying to find maybe it was on
There it is. There it is. Is that it right there?
where?
Wait. Go back
No,
down for
it's
you.
not that. It's not that.
Oh, it's not that one? Oh. All right, the mice are on the rod. Let's see. Last round underway.
Oh, here we go. Atia seems to have done like a rebrand of himself. Like, what's going on here? Like, he never used to dress
Whoa.
like this.
Whoa.
He did a full
Max,
like
relax.
Mark Zuckerberg rebrand.
What?
He's got freaking what, dog tags?
Are those actual dog tags? I didn't even see those.
I think so. Legend. Anyway, big fan. Big fan. Not criticizing, more just fangirling, honestly.
Fangirl. Benji, are you going to roll up to the next rodeo? No. No. Yes. We're covered.
Oh, he's going backwards.
Oh. Backwards and then off.
No.
Backwards and then off.
Oh.
Man. Man.
What do you do in times like these?
What do you do? Do we do? Okay, here's a thought. So, do we do? So obviously this is a certain type of study. What do we think about one idea we've always had is the mouse decathlon? Do you think we need a fuller picture here of urolithin A?
I think we got to keep trying.
Yeah.
I think clearly this is too limited of a data point, a test. It's only one metric.
Yeah.
And it was actually something that Matt said. He's like, who knows if it's a good test for anything other than predicting rotor-rod performance,
Yeah.
And so I think we got to put these guys to more tests, honestly. See how they do on a maze test, see how they do on a hanging test. Can pull up like what a hanging test looks like. But I think what would be cool about a hanging test is like they're kind of fun to watch too. Like you're kind of just like hoping that they can hang on. And they
It
actually
sounds
have
like
this.
I was gonna say, I was like out of like a carnival and there was literally like a hanging challenge. And it was like, if you can hang on for this long, you get the biggest prize. And it's hard. It is so hard.
Oh my God, it's not easy at all.
No. I mean, even just as it like, oh.
Anyway, here's a hanging test. It's kind of weird to watch because you're watching from the top. This is a top view. But you can see like they're just trying to get comfy.
Dang.
They're just trying
Okay,
to.
look.
So
More chess, even more fun to watch. Do you think this
yeah.
is more
So
fun than the rodeo? What do you guys think, fam? Wow, look at these legends.
yeah. So they're just trying to hang on, and then I think you see how long they can hold on for each time. So it's basically like, yeah, I mean, based on the fall. But the question is, would they outsmart this too, and just again, just be like, yeah, no, I can fall. It's fine.
Yeah, maybe it's like the duration is.
Wait, is Physical 100 that Korean show?
I don't know.
I
Let me
think
look.
I think so. And I think they do, wait, Physical 100 hanging. Yes, this is like I'm pretty sure this is a Korean show where they find the top 100 Korean like fitness stars. And yes,
What? And they
exactly.
just.
And it's basically the hanging test, but it's people.
No
So this is
way.
all
Okay,
real
I told
people.
you it was hard. It's a game show.
It's a game show. And they literally like zoom in on these people and they're like struggling. They're like, I can't stay
Oh,
on any longer.
look how jacked they are too. Like you gotta
They're
wonder if like
enormous.
the
They're
biggest
enormous.
muscle will stay on the longest.
Yeah, literally. Oh wait, I don't
This
know.
is giving me, what was that? Did you ever watch that show? Gosh, what was that show?
Like, look how hard this looks, and they're just staying on for so long. But this, I'm so glad Burberry and Biotin bought this up because like this is exactly the vibe.
This is
It's just the hanging
unreal.
test. I think I was doing anything
We
but the
need to
freaking
sell it. We need to sell it.
anything but the
Sold.
freaking Rotorod. Jesus, this has been
Okay, should we do it at the same
disaster.
time? So it's like mass chaos, like Rotorod on one side, hanging test on the other.
It's like NFL Red Zone, just like so much science.
Honestly,
Yeah,
max attention economy. Okay, the people say they do like the rodeo. The rodeo is fun. We're happy you guys enjoy it.
yeah. At the same time, it's not working, and that's the key part. It's not
Mouse is
showing what we
losing.
want, and so we must change it. No.
Okay, that physical 100 is giving me did you ever this might be showing my age. Legends of the Hidden Temple. Did you ever see that show?
Try
Oh,
again.
okay.
Try again.
Okay. It was on Nickelodeon.
Try
It's
again.
fine. You put it up there with Ponderosa. It's great. My boomer is showing.
In the category of things that nobody knows what you're talking about except for you.
Does anybody know about Legends of the Hidden Temple? Anybody?
No,
Nobody. It's fine. It's
nobody.
fine. Oh, our first guest is coming through.
Are they?
Yeah. Are
I
you
don't
ready?
believe it. I don't believe it.
I don't wait, let's switch.
Who is
You
it?
got it.
Who's the guest?
Dun 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 dun.
Let's
Logan!
go!
We should have had a theme song. Like you should have had some walk-in music. Dang.
Wait,
Big
there's still
and
time.
rich,
Wait, there's still
big
time.
horse, rat, cowboy.
Get her out of here and let's try that again. Let's try that again.
Wait. Okay. Bye.
Bye, Logan.
Okay, wait. We need a banger hit.
Yeah, hit it. Throw us with a banger.
Which one? Ooh.
Obviously.
You got it? Is it playing? Oh yeah, okay. We're bringing up the legendary guest, Logan from Molecule. Welcome to the arena. Did she leave? Oh, there she is. Oh!
Hailing from Rotterdam. Standing 5'1 3/4. with a wingspan of 4 feet 7 inches. Logan Bishop Curry.
Welcome to the rodeo. Happy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, guys, on such a
Obviously.
special day, birthday edition.
That is. Oh wait, no, we lost her.
We lost her. Get her back up. Hold on.
Oh, no.
Hold on.
Birthday
Hold on.
edition? What are you talking about, Logan?
Hold on. I'm gonna bring this up. We might lose you for 1 sec. Hold on. There you go. She back.
I mean, one of us here is old, right? Or older.
I think we're all pretty old as far as old goes.
I mean, don't look at me, but yeah, one of us here has another notch to their belt.
That is true. That is true.
Excuse
Yeah.
me?
Count
Have you
it.
been holding out on me?
Count it.
We've been
Have
here
it.
this whole time. This whole time. Rude.
I'm
know.
just not the biggest fan of them. Like, it's just like, I mean,
Who
it's
is?
nice to catch up with everyone, but it's just another notch to take of like, another one.
Another one.
Yeah. At least it's a random one. Like, I feel like when you turn like a 9, it's like not round. It's just like, who cares,
I feel like the fours don't really matter. Like you're not
fours
quite
don't
halfway,
yeah.
you know?
Had to do it.
Thanks, fam. Appreciate you.
Been sitting here this whole time and just like didn't say anything.
It's all good.
Can't
I won't
trust
sing.
it.
I'll
Can't
spare
trust
you the
it.
singing. I'll spare you a song.
If you sing, I will eject immediately.
I was rapping last week. We'll probably stick to that. We won't sing this week.
Yeah, how about neither? How about we just cry instead? Because Logan, our mice taking Urolithin A are not doing well. It's really bad. It's really upsetting.
Oh no.
They're like doing the worst. Well, I mean, we're down to 1 Euro mouse of the males, right? So there was like 2 Rif, 2 Euro, 2 control among the males. 1 Rif mouse died. Who was Elon Musk? No. Mouse and Bolt. And then Elon Musk was also taking Euro. He passed away as well. So now we only have 1 male mouse. And Kevin Durant, and he did not do well, unfortunately.
Are you telling me
should we do our flyover for Elon Musk? I feel like we do it every week.
I think so.
It feels right.
It's such a nice touch. It's such a nice touch.
Hold on, strap in.
Moment of silence.
Did you get goosebumps?
Chills.
Chills.
Full body.
But are you just telling me that the men can't handle Euro?
Clearly. Anyway, have you done mouse studies before? Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, are they just shoving these guys with too much like DMSO? Like, is there something else going on here that we don't know about?
I mean, if it's the DMSO, you'd see it in the control group.
Yeah, but the controls are doing great. I can pull it up. Wait, look, we may need to add you to the other view.
Yeah, one sec. Yep, she there.
But yeah, so here's the data from like the whole rodeo thus far. And you can see like the controls are averaging almost a 90% improvement from baseline. Riff is getting like about 40%, and Euro's getting about 30% improvement over baseline. So you are not seeing it in the controls.
Are the controls also getting the gavage?
Yes, they're getting the gavage of DMSO.
Interesting.
Explain that to the audience.
Interesting.
It's interesting.
I mean, to be fair, you're also down to quite a few mice at this point too, right? So looking at like Anna's one, it's so hard to draw conclusions too.
It's so hard. Hard. Anyway, the problem is like it's so expensive to run more mice. It's like this experiment is already like mad expensive.
Yeah.
And so like we would love to do more data points, but it definitely gets more expensive the more mice you add. But I agree with you. I think like just like if you're gonna do it, you should do it well.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe we should add 3 more mice to the next one. Do 2 full rods, basically 12 mice instead of 9. I think that might improve it. And I think we should get more data points, meaning different types of tests other than rotor-rod performance.
It might be hard though to redo the study if you already know that there are negative consequences like of the treatment in this group. Then like something has to change if you are to repeat it. So I don't know if it's like the dose or I don't know.
It's hard to say. Super hard to say. Yeah. Maybe we're giving them too much. Maybe we are giving them too much. Run it back, lower dose. Run it back.
Definitely.
Logan, how the heck are you? What you been up to? Talk to us. Tell us.
I'm good.
Also, too, maybe share a bit about like yourself, because Logan has like a super cool background, and so she's not just. I mean, granted, like her. We want all people to weigh in on the science, but I think Logan has too like a really unique perspective. So if you don't mind sharing a bit of your background to let people know who you are and get them up to speed on all things Logan.
Of course. Happy to be here. Happy for people to know more about my life and stalk me. So I am originally from Canada, born just outside Toronto, and moved to Amsterdam 12 years ago to live my European lifestyle, and started my career working in the lab, doing biomedical research. So mostly worked on Huntington's disease projects, which for those of you who don't know is a degenerative neuromuscular disease. Unfortunately, has no cure. And it's an autosomal dominant disease, which is pretty devastating because it shows like a couple things. So one, it's actually an unstable CAG repeat in the Huntington gene that causes the disease. And what happens is once you reach past a certain threshold of repeats, that's when you start to show symptoms. But the more repeats, the earlier the onset. But normally, as the generations go on, because it's unstable, you increase the amount of repeats as you go on. But if I have, let's say, 40 repeats, I may not show disease symptoms until I'm like 80, by which time I would have had kids. Maybe they have a repeat length of like 50. Maybe they show symptoms at 60. By that time, they've had kids. And so you can have these moments where families will get diagnosed with Huntington's, and like 3-4 generations will all get diagnosed at once, and it will just like wipe out the entire family trees, because you just don't know. Because when the symptoms start to show, it's later, but then each time you have kids, the repeat gets longer and longer, and then the earlier the disease onset. So honestly, pretty devastating. And it's also very difficult to target, because if you think about trying to find like that specific mutation in a gene, you've got, because it's a CAG repeat, it's not unique. And Huntington is also not the only gene that has that CAG repeat. So you're like, how would I target it? And it's also autosomal dominant, which means you only need to have one bad copy of the bad gene to show symptoms. And you've got this other gene that also has a lot of CAG repeats, but like it's not disease causing. So super difficult to target it at the genetic level. So project that I was working on was actually looking at indirect modulators of Huntington, which is like, okay, if we can't target the gene itself, can we target like a regulator of the gene and kind of like go around the problem? So it was a super interesting project working with like stem cells, screening, really cool, great project to work on, lots of people involved. And yeah, kind of reached my limits, I would say, of like working in the lab and thinking like, okay, I'm an expat. How do I want to live my life? It's not necessarily so flexible. So decided to go back to school, got my MBA, and was able to transition out of the lab that way. Because sometimes if you don't have a PhD, it's kind of difficult to get these like non-lab based roles. So did what I needed to do, got out of the lab, worked for a startup for a while, developing novel antimicrobials. So we were targeting biofilms, which for those of you that don't know is kind of this like protective coating that bacteria make. Fun fact, brushing your teeth, actually, you are mechanically disrupting the biofilm. So that like slimy feeling on your teeth in the morning is the biofilm that's produced by the bacteria in your mouth, and you're using your toothbrush to like brush it away. Because
so it's a bad thing? Is it a bad thing? Is that what
well,
you're saying?
for who? The biofilm is amazing for the bacteria. It's like a little tent that shields them from their environment. You can't really penetrate it. And mechanical disruption is one of the best ways to get rid of it. And so that's the thing about these like bacteria and their little biofilms. They're so good. They make it and it protects them. And so if you try to treat them with antibiotics, the biofilms make antibiotics like 1,000 times less effective, which is crazy. And you think of all the tox that's associated with antibiotics too, right? Like you can't just increase the dose 1,000 times. You're going to kill people. So we were trying to find something that could either kill bacteria like inside the biofilm or disrupt that biofilm so that we could like get inside them, which was super fun. Totally different field for me, coming from more like, mammalian, like kind of like stem cells. But of course, you have this like interaction between like the host and the microbes. That's also interesting as well. So yeah, really cool project. Antimicrobial research does not get the love and attention that it so deserves because AMR is coming our way. If there's anything that's going to kill us, it's going to be these like bacteria and viruses. So get ready. And then, yeah, at that point decided like, okay, you know, been here for 2 years. What else is there? And then kind of Molecule came across my plate. Somebody DM'd me being like, hey, do you want to work at Molecule? And I was like, I have no clue what crypto is. I don't even have a wallet. I don't have I've heard of Bitcoin, but I'm afraid of this whole space. I don't know. And then, yeah, a year and a half later, still here, still holding it down. And for the most part, just trying to figure out, honestly, how to get cool research funded, supported, build communities, find talent. So one big initiative for us this year is DSI EDU, which is where we are onboarding and training the next generation of kind of like entrepreneurial scientists, because what we've noticed is it's like, yes, of course, you know, great science needs great ideas, but you also need great teams and great expertise around it as well. And we're kind of company building in a sense, but we're adding like new operational rails to it, right? Like on crypto, which fundamentally changes some of the dynamics that you're doing when you consider that, yeah, you're like in essence IPOing early stage research. And you're like, I thought I was just here to like get money and go away and do science. You're like, no, there's so many more layers to it too. So super exciting. Lots of things to learn. And honestly, we are just like laying the groundwork now. So if anybody has any tips, tricks, ideas, please hit me up. I feel like I was very long-winded. I'm sorry. You told me to like tell you about.
I have like so many things. I'm like, I mean, going back to Huntington's and the antimicrobial stuff, like there's so many things where I'm like, wow.
Let's start at the Huntington's, because I think it's so cool that you got to work on that. It's such a devastating and hard disease to deal with. Like probably, like I mean, luckily, like I've never had to personally, but can only imagine how difficult that is to be in a family that's affected, but also to treat. It's such a complex disease. The CAG repeats, you know, are just like, how do you target that? I guess like I read a book a few years back called Hacking Darwin. And it
Real quick, round one's underway, just for
amazing.
So and we know we're in the.
They basically talked about like how so many cures for these potential genetic diseases are just going to be hard to come up with. What if we could just selectively breed humans, you know, and like basically like make sure, you know, as you said, it's autosomal dominant. So if you have one copy, you know, you're getting Huntington's. What if we could just like screen every single embryo before it gets implanted and just make sure, like basically nip it in the bud? And so do you think that like, which of those do you think comes first? Like normalizing IVF and embryo screening, or coming up with a drug for Huntington's?
I think honestly, given the current climate, I think for humans, it's going to be incredibly difficult to justify screening of embryos. Yeah. I don't think we're like at a point with like society that's really like a common conversation beyond just like, oh, it's terrible for like the unborn child. Like people can't look past that, you know, or people are like, okay, I'll take my risk, or like, I think it's different when you've got maybe a kid with like a disability versus one with a deadly disease. And it's also very tricky because specifically here as well, you can't screen the kids. Like if they come from a parent that is a carrier of Huntington's, they like have a right to not know, basically. And so you can't even get your kid screened. They have to consent to it, and they can only consent to it once they turn 18. So then also, not only are you worried about maybe like your life as the parent, as the carrier of the disease, but then for like 18 years, you've got to wonder whether your kid has it. You're not allowed to test for it until they like, so the psychological aspect of that for me is like, you know, how can you kind of like bear it? But of course people do, and they're incredibly brave, and they have amazing, you know, communities and support around them in some cases. But yeah, it's honestly, it's so tough.
The psychological stuff is real. We have a family friend whose mom had Huntington disease, and like literally their whole life, they were just like holding their breath, like kind of like wondering, waiting, and then they went on to have kids, and then it was like kind of the same, like that psychological fear is like and I don't know, it's I think like even to your point, like being able to having to wait until you're 18, having the right to not know, and then like when you don't know, do you want to know? It's really like a heavy thing. I mean, as someone who has kids, I think it's so crazy to think about how much goes right to like have. It is insane statistically how much has to go right to have healthy kids, and I like every single human being is honestly a miracle in and of itself. It's just like it's insane, literally insane. Just one little thing, and you're on a totally different glide path. It's wild to me. Wild.
Yeah. Not to mention, like, our bodies are just so good at keeping the machinery running on a daily basis, right? Like, of all the stress and everything that you put it through, it's just kind of like, oh, like that one hurt, but like, okay, like keep running, and just like on constant cleanup duty. Sometimes if I'm like, laying awake at night, like can't fall asleep, I think about how grateful I am that I'm like not aware of all of the processes going on in like every cell in my body. They're all working overtime all the time, and I'm so ungrateful, just like keep just harassing them with like drinking or being out late or like crappy food. It's like, I'm just trying to survive, man.
Yeah. And even so, like, even though we tend to abuse ourselves and our bodies and not appreciate it, like still it's so resilient and still.
You want to know what can help with the cleanup?
Urolithin A.
Urolithin A.
Hypothetically. Look at Leonelle heard you. She's still on the rod. She is. She's crushing it.
Yeah, exactly. She
can handle the Euro.
Logan might be onto something. I mean,
she's
look
so
at
strong.
her. Atta girl.
She's so strong. Strongest girl out there. Strongest girl I ever met.
Sorry, I digress.
No, so many interesting points there. I think what comes to mind is like, luckily, the age of consent is typically lower than the age people are having children, right? So at 18, you can find out whether you have it, and then you can make plans. So hypothetically, you turn 18, you find out you're positive for Huntington's, and then you could hypothetically still have children via, an embryo screening method. And, just at least make sure it doesn't get passed down, right? Like if that's your legacy.
Which I think is like, one, you have to have like access to that kind of care as well. And maybe two, potentially be in like a societal situation where like that would be accepted like amongst your family members and peers. But then again, to get to that information, like probably your parents and your grandparents have like been diagnosed, and then you learned when you were a kid that this is happening too. And then I don't know, like the looking after 2 generations of family members that are going through this process as well. You also maybe have to assume a caregiving role there too. And the stress of then trying to figure out if you want to have a family while like you're not going to, like your kids are not going to be able to like meet their grandparents and stuff. It's like, yeah, this one honestly it's so heavy. And it's cruel. It's really cruel.
It is cruel.
Not that like any disease is not cruel, but like this one is particularly cruel.
Particularly difficult to watch.
Yeah.
I can only imagine. But yeah, I really hope that like it does become, like when I say it, I mean embryo screening, IVF, it is becoming more accessible. More companies are like offering it to their employees as like an employee benefit. And so I think it is becoming more normalized, like technology. Hopefully it gets, less and less expensive over time and becomes more accessible. And if you think about like the psychological damage and economic damage it does, like you have to think at a certain point it will be worth it. For these people to like, I mean, this is how it's solved. I think going to your point of like struggling in the lab to target it genetically, or like, do you go after the gene itself? Do you go after regulators? Like, it's just hard.
Yeah. And to be fair, we are entirely grateful to the people who do the genetic screens as well. So the cell line that I was working with on this particular project, it had like an unaffected sibling cell line as well. So then we could test kind of like between the mutation and like control. And of course, this is only possible because people donated these materials to science. So just always forever grateful to people who, take that big leap and put themselves in a very difficult position, and then take that step to give the gift of kind of like hope to the next generation and like next families out there, through the kind donation.
Totally. Anyway, so biofilms.
Biofilms.
Thoughts on biofilms? I think, I mean, tell us more about
Tell us more.
Tell us more.
I mean, first of all, they're everywhere. So you've got them. I don't know if you've ever looked at like your drain pipes, right? After like your shower, like whatever you can see with some sort of like gross, slimy layer, it's probably like a biofilm of some sort. So you have like bacteria that produce it, also fungus produce it. And they can be in your bodies, on surfaces. It's a huge problem also for like prosthetics. So implants, like a hip implant or a knee implant, things like that. And because it's just like, it's really this like protective layer, this like tent that they use to protect themselves from the elements. It's so difficult to then target them on the inside. So this is really like one of the huge problems with antimicrobial resistance is like, if you don't hit something with the right concentration for the right amount of time, the bacteria, I mean, they're so quick at evolving, right? So it's always this kind of like race. And the biofilms just give them such an advantage. And so it kind of felt like this like arms race, when we were like working in the lab on working on this project. It was really cool. But yeah, it was something, honestly, before working like at the startup, I had no clue like what biofilms really were. So I was lucky to have a very passionate team of like biofilm researchers who educated me on a lot of this. But it's really a problem. There are very few, pretty much no dedicated anti-biofilm compounds available, and very few are active against it. So when you think about people who have like recurrent infections, and a lot of times for women, it's very unfortunate. You have like recurrent UTIs, urinary tract infections, very painful. You kill off basically the bacteria that are like free floating, because once they're in their biofilm, they grow and they grow and they grow, but then they disperse out of the biofilm as well. And then they can also seed different locations, and just start all over. So you have what we call like the planktonic bacteria, like the free floating ones. If you're taking your antibiotics, you can kill those ones. But then once they're in the biofilm, then they're a lot more protected. So maybe you kill off those free floating ones, and then 2-3 weeks later, you have sufficient population growth within the biofilm and another release, and then your symptoms come back too.
Interesting. Can you confirm or deny that in our saliva there is like bactericide in it that also helps get rid of the biofilms? Or am I just making stuff up?
Well, I mean, your mouth has its own oral microbiome.
Right.
And
but isn't there stuff like when you sleep, like don't you produce like antibiotic, like bactericide that helps get rid of the bacteria? Is that wrong? Is that
yeah, but not the like your immune system will clear up a lot of the things too, but you can't really penetrate the biofilm as much. But to be fair, a lot of it has to do with your diet as well. So you feed certain types of bacteria. I don't know, I call them like good and bad for ease of reference. So you have like your good and bad bacteria, and depending on which ones you're feeding, you can promote the growth of like more pathogenic or more biofilm producing bacteria as well. But I mean, nobody is safe from having no biofilm in their mouth. It's just like something that they do, but you can definitely have an overabundance of certain species that produce more biofilms than others.
Yeah, sorry, wait, I'm just looking now. Like, yeah, so in your saliva is lactoferrin, lysozymes, hydrogen peroxide, and nitrate that are all intended to like kill some of the bacteria that grow in your mouth.
Mhm.
I think it's real. But yeah, no, it totally makes sense that like it's hard. Like once there's a film, like you're not getting anywhere in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's really like the mechanical disruption, and the toothpaste is just like a nice flavor, basically.
Totally.
All I can think about is like me trying to get my children to brush their teeth, and they're all running around screaming, "Why is it so spicy?" It's like the bane of my existence, you guys. Like the toothbrush,
Oh, man.
the toothbrush.
Do
But
they
now I'm
brush
gonna
their own
tell them.
teeth?
I mean, kind of, sort
I
of.
don't know. Like at what age do children start brushing their own teeth?
Probably like 3.5, but like then they do a botch job and you gotta go in there and do it anyways. So it's like
Fair
it's just
enough.
like literally the to start and end the day that way. I'm like, here we go. It's like going in for battle. But now I'm gonna be like, your biofilm, we gotta mechanically
Yep.
disrupt, homies. Let's go.
We should have Logan give them a lecture.
Literally, yes.
Yeah.
100%. I'll be like, do you want to do your part against antimicrobial resistance? Brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth. That sounds like a children's commercial. Let's go. Let's go.
Guys, it was so fun to be here. I do have to love and leave you. I have another session of DSci EDU to get to.
Ooh.
Real quick. Can you give us how to apply, who can apply before you jump, or how to get involved, where to send people?
Absolutely. So we have around 40 participants in this first inaugural cohort of DSci EDU, which is an 8-week course designed to take you from, kind of like DSci noob to DSci builder. And specifically, we're looking for people along a few different verticals. So we're looking for kind of this like biotech phenotype, so people who have a scientific background or who know how biotech kind of like companies operate. Another one is marketing, because everything that we're doing is essentially community oriented. So you have to know how to build a community. You have to know how to highlight your advancements. And then the other one is, of course, like Web3 talents, because it would be irresponsible to just give somebody, $500,000 in a wallet and they're like, how do I even open my wallet? Right? Like that's no good for anybody. So trying to solve problems like that before they start by training people. And it's the first time that we're running the program. We did a little mini version last year, training 9 fellows that we had from Nucleate. Had a really good experience there. So we thought, why not do it again? But if you did not apply, but you still want to participate, lucky for you, we also thought about that. So we have this kind of like builders track, which is really for people like the education track, really for people who don't really know much about DSci, but are strong in their kind of like own verticals. They want to learn more. And then we also have this kind of like builders program as well, where we just bring you in because you're talented and maybe you need a little bit of tech knowledge from Molecule. We can help you out with a few presentations or slide decks or things like that. And we get you in as well. So if all goes well, and also we are 100% reliant on you to tell us what you like and what you want to see, then push us to do a cohort 2, and then you can join us there as well.
Let's go. Be a DSci builder. It's pretty fun out here. We're having a great time.
I was going to say, this is like a critical moment too. In this race, I'm like praying that Leonelle stays on. She's been going around the rod.
Yeah, she's been crushing it. Stay on.
Logan,
thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for coming by. Thanks for giving the download.
Absolute pleasure. All right. Thanks, guys.
See you soon.
Bye. That one was close.
That one was close. It was close.
I mean, that was like by a hair.
Yeah, but like at the same time, like it's not even about like which one stays on longer. It's like, did she improve? So at the same time, like you just gotta hope to God that she like improved herself.
I mean, it's honestly unreal when you watch. She literally went around the rod so many times. Like that is so much strength. It is unreal.
Yeah, I'm realizing like there's 2 metrics we need to look at, like strength and endurance.
Yeah.
Both are tested here.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, your endurance gives up, and now you're relying on strength.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. I mean, I don't know, like when you compare how many times she can handle going around the rod versus others, I don't even think it's close, but yeah. Does a hanging test, like, would a hanging test just be strength? Like, is there
It's
anything
just
else?
strength. I
Just
mean, like,
raw?
it's a decent amount of time too, so it's also kind of testing endurance. But like, I feel like
Yeah.
any physical challenge is testing endurance to a small degree. Should we go over our recent posts?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Oh,
Cool,
oh.
cool. Jillian, want to go through like, what we've been up to?
Yeah, we've been shipping. So I think, for us, we hear a lot like, is D-side dead? And I would say actually quite the opposite. We have been shipping. So this week in particular has been a busy week. Let's see. Most recently, what Benji has pulled up here is we opened up a Pump Science storefront and are selling pre-orders for Urolithin A. So this I would say is like a huge moment because it really brings the Pump Science vision to life, right? Like it connects the end-to-end vision of submitting compounds on the platform, taking them through the research, and offering them as actual real products. So the pre-orders are open. Right now, it is just payment with crypto. We are working on getting additional payment methods in place, but you can actually take the science out into the wild through a product, which is really cool. So and I would say it's like more than just being about a product, right? Like it connects the end-to-end process and creates a flywheel. So a portion of the revenue from product sales goes to buying back and burning the token, which is a vision that we see as a way to like strengthen the community, right, of token holders. So yeah, here's the Pump Science store, Urolithin A pre-order. One plug too for this, if you do a 3-month subscription for Urolithin A, if you do a 3-month subscription and you have a wearable, so want to make sure to remind folks, must have a wearable, so Whoop, Apple Watch, if you're in the queue to get a pulse device. Also, I think that Aura rings do, I want to say VO2 max, but
Cool.
any of those devices and a 3-month subscription, you are eligible for the Pump Science human trial that will be getting underway soon. There'll be more information coming about that, but yeah, that does make you eligible. So if you're interested in getting in the arena, get a 3-month pre-order of Urolithin A.
Awesome. But like, why should I actually buy Urolithin A? Like, what does it do?
I'm gonna bring Michael up to the stage. Michael,
Michael's
are you
here?
there? Yeah, it looks like it. Hold on, let me ping him real quick.
Hey guys,
Michael,
how's it going?
Michael, what's good? How are you, bro?
Morning.
Morning, Jam.
Nice with the shop. Good.
Yeah, it's freaking live.
It's a long time coming, I guess.
It's a long time coming. We'll do our best to improve the like site aesthetics and whatnot, but like wanted to get something out there, and at least we got something out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot more improvements to make
Nice.
for sure.
Yeah, so Benji, I think we're at an important point. Like, what does Urolithin A do? Why Urolithin A? Want to give the TLDR?
Yeah, sure. So I think there's a few answers to this question. Number one is like, what does Urolithin A do to our bodies versus like what have we demonstrated from all of the studies that we've executed? What have they shown that Urolithin A actually does? So Urolithin A obviously comes from, actually not directly, but there are precursors to Urolithin A that are found in like pomegranates, found in strawberries, like certain other types of berries.
Walnuts, I think.
Walnuts also.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the precursor is called like egalithins or something. But what happens is your gut microbiome converts that compound into Urolithin A, but not everybody. So only about 40% of people can actually convert the egalithins into Urolithin A. But what does Urolithin A do? If you want to go real deep here, like all the way down to the micro scale, Urolithin A activates a transcription factor, which is a protein that activates other genes. It activates the protein that a transcription factor that transcribes the gene that turns into a protein that tags mitochondria for degradation. So basically, like what urolithin A does is it ends up creating all these tags on all your mitochondria, basically saying, come recycle this mitochondria. And so what ends up happening is all of those old mitochondria end up getting recycled and turned into new mitochondria. And the result of that is basically newer mitochondria that have more power, that can produce more energy and more ATP, which is your body's it's energetic currency, right? So, oh, we gotta bring Mike up to this one.
I got him.
Cool. So that's what it does at the molecular level, right? Basically, the end result is you just have more new mitochondria. And so the question is like, what does that actually do? Like, why should I give a shit? And what we have shown, at least on the worms and the flies, is that it actually can make you live. It makes those animals live longer, right? So not only do they live longer, but in the flies, thanks to the incredible computer vision technology that Michael has built, we've shown that the flies themselves move faster and they move farther. So it's kind of like they just have more life in them, right? They seem to be healthier. They're moving around more. They're moving around faster, and they are living longer, like 20% longer, which is so cool. Like the last 4 flies to survive were all on urolithin A. Question is, what did they do on the mice? And I think where we are is like we're learning as we build pump science, right? And we designed a mouse experiment that we thought would hopefully, show a similar effect. Basically, that urolithin A results in kind of an improvement on the mice. I think what we found is like it's still inconclusive. So whether or not it's like we don't have enough mice, or we need to be testing them on more data points, or we did the wrong dose of urolithin A. There's a lot of potential reasons why we're getting kind of like a null result. But I think the reality is we have not been able to demonstrate that urolithin A has a benefit on the mouse rotarod performance quite yet. We'd love to get there, but yeah, I think it's still inconclusive. Anyway, I think the end result, so that's kind of like, okay, what does it do on the animals? What urolithin A does on people, and this has been tested in placebo-controlled studies, is that it also gives you more power. So middle-aged people have taken urolithin A, and it increases your VO2 max, which is a measure of endurance, and it increases your power output, like on a bike. So basically, like it kind of just makes the whole machine work better. That was tested on like a proprietary formulation of urolithin A. Oh, there goes Linus.
Oh boy.
But urolithin A also seems to have a benefit in humans from the human studies that have been tested on it. So anyway, that was probably a very long answer to your question, but short answer is urolithin A seems to improve health in the form of like more energy. Whether or not we can show that in mice and whether or not we can show that in humans, still up for debate. We have to prove it in both, but that seems to be the evidence that we have so far. I'll shut up now.
And like probably more energy, because it seems like in theory like cleaner energy, because your mitochondria you're like getting out the garbage and getting your power grid upgraded.
Yeah, it's like you're getting rid of the old technology and bringing in the new technology,
Yeah, it's like 2017 Mac, 2025 Mac.
You have to balance the energy. It can't always, you gotta out with the old and in with the new sort of concept. So it really is like a balance with mitophagy, like the killing of the old mitochondria, like you were saying, Benji. So definitely an important process in the body.
Totally. But I think it's super interesting to look at like why this damage is caused. If you think about what the mitochondria is, it's literally like a battery, right?
Yeah.
And you've got like flowing of electrons and protons. And when you have these kind of electrons just flowing in this like organic matter, like it's not, we're not metal silicon-based life, like we're carbon-based life. And so if you have not yet. We're getting there. Let's go. Let's go.
Yes. Lionel.
Go, Lionel.
We needed you, Lionel.
Yeah.
Last round, I should have played Eminem.
But basically, like these electrons just basically cause damage on, like in the form of like free radicals and oxidative damage, like oxidative stress on these mitochondria. And at a certain point, like they've just taken enough damage, and you just need to get rid of them and make a fresh one. And
That's
monumental.
Right. Monumental last ride on the rod.
Oh, wow.
I hope. This is a great way to just ride out into the sunset. Lionel just on the rod forever.
This is like what we wanted to see.
One more spin, two more.
Oh no, she's a spinner. She's a spinner.
Yeah.
She's a spinner. Big time spinner.
This is such a moment. I'm getting a little misty if I'm being
honest. It really doesn't phase her though. Just kind of hangs on for fun.
That's what we've been talking about, is like her ability to just go around.
Hold on.
Yeah, look at that. What a beautiful sight.
Anyway, Michael, as we wrap up the rodeo, 8 strong weeks of really cool tests. It's been like ups and downs, left and right. Yeah. What have you learned from this whole process?
What have I learned? I mean, it's definitely, live streaming science is another level of science. So it takes more logistics and lining up, but in the end, it seems like it's all very nice. People can see what's going on and everything. So that's been really cool to see the feedback on the science. So unique. So
amazing. And on the experiments themselves, like as we move forward, like what did we get right here? What did we get wrong here? Like how do we make mice testing better going forward?
So I guess it depends. So like it's tough to say what is the best test for any like hypothesis you have. So and also, like you said, the sample size can affect the outcome of the experiment. So yeah, it's really, you got to weigh out, you got to balance the sample size as well as the test you're going to use. So yeah, I think just sort of maybe compartmentalizing that somehow might be useful. Maybe doing smaller tests somehow, like splitting it up somehow into smaller tests might be an interesting approach to making it efficient. So the whole pipeline. So yeah, that's my feedback at least.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's talk specifically though. Like, what are we doing? Hayne test next? Are we doing Maze test? Like, what should we try next?
I think I guess like so I guess it depends which compound too, but I guess if it's purely like a compound affecting strength, I think the hanging test will be super useful and cool. It's super easy to see. You can see the mouse hanging, and when it drops, it's done. So, and if the compound improves strength, it'll hang on longer. Rotorod kind of combines a lot of those features in one, like balance, strength, endurance. So you're kind of measuring all at once. So it can be good. That's the good of it, but also the con is that you're not teasing out specifically which one it could be. So maybe some peaceful modification of the treadmill would be interesting to try as well. More humane. So yeah. That thing might be cool if like you want to do pure endurance, like somehow modifying that in time would be useful. But the Rotorod is accessible and super useful for these measuring all three at once: the balance, the strength, and the coordinate and the endurance. So yeah. But it was, I think, it's crazy. It was only 2 months ago. It's flown by so fast. Cannot believe we're at this point already.
I remember even too trying to figure out like how are we going to stream the experiments? What tech are we going to use to stream the experiments? Like we've come so far and it's become so turnkey. Like it really is like impressive that not only we got the experiment together, but then brought it to our audience. So hats off to you for taking our crazy idea and making it a reality and getting, I mean, we're not in the lab, like getting the lab people to also get on board with this, stream it week over week, which I know is not always easy. So yeah,
Sure, yeah.
when you're trying to figure out this, I know it takes a lot of people willing to do it. So huge thank you to you and the team.
For sure, yeah. Happy to work with you guys, and it's been really a pleasure for this experiment. So, and yeah, with that too, I guess also the new fly experiments have started too. So there's always some new action there.
Are they live on the site yet? Have you checked?
Yeah, the art is, and the Gossi should be. So
I'm gonna yeah, okay, Michael's there. Cool.
Awesome.
So but the Gossi is streaming, so it should be on there. At least the data is streaming to it. So
nice.
just
So many flies.
Boy.
They're ready.
Is there a data point in there? Is that what this is? There's one data point set?
Yeah.
Amazing.
There was one uploaded yesterday, the first ones. So
let's go.
Nice.
Okay, so wait, bringing it back for people. What are these? What compounds are these fly experiments in? Bring it back.
You guys want to? Do you guys want to explain? You're leading the development.
Sure. I mean, yeah. So in column 1, we've got artemisinin on the flies. In 2, we got controls. In 3, we've Gossi pole and catechin hydrate. And in the 4th one, we've got control also, right?
Actually, I just they're flipped this time actually. So control art, control Gossi. But yeah, I remember last time.
Let me make sure. Oh, you're right. You're 100% right. Control art, control Gossi.
Yeah. And the other combination at the end.
Oh, we got to make sure.
Awesome. So yeah, Pump Science, we launched 3 more compound tokens launched on the platform, and 2 of them have now, to Benji's point, had enough funding for the fly experiments to get underway. So the fly experiments are just starting. They'll last about 60 days, hopefully longer if they extend the lifespan of the flies. But yeah, 2 new fly experiments just started for 2 compounds on Pump Science. So check it out.
Excited for the.
We got to make sure that it shows live. We'll figure out what's going on there.
Yeah, I sent data to the correct side, so just I guess just double check.
Will do. 100%.
Also, shameless plug. We were rolling through some announcements we had this week. One other big announcement: the Pump Science Lab is open. So if you have something you want to test, like a compound you want to test, you can now submit it for testing and starting on WormBot in the worms. So right up there on the website, you just click submit a compound. Yeah.
Submit a compound.
It'll pull up the form. We got some feedback on the onboarding experience. So we'll be improving, creating more touch points with us. But basically we wanted the submission process to be really simple. So you just submit the compound if you have an idea of the dose. And it costs 3 SOL to run the initial worm experiment. It's a 3 SOL deposit, meaning that once the worm experiment is done and the data is QC'd and it's ready for streaming and the token launch on Pump Science, if the token bonds, you get that 3 SOL back. So we wanted the process to be really simple, but we heard that people want a little bit more kind of touch point from us. So we will be increasing communications that you guys get from us, but the goal was to make it simple. Like, we don't want it to feel like getting a science experiment started is hard. So we're getting more science on the machine. So please, if you have an idea, like any idea or combination of ideas, single compound or a cocktail of compounds, please go and submit them. We're getting ready to start new science on the WormBots. There's 4 spots left. So on Monday, we're shipping them off to Aura. So if you want one of those spots, today's your day. Get your submissions in and we'll get them on the machines.
And by the way, if you don't have an idea, maybe AI can help you out. So there are a ton of really cool AI tools that can search the literature and help you come up with, a potential idea, and you can decide how promising it is. But Elicit is a really interesting tool, and I think you can use it for free. But you can just ask it, like, what compound should I test to see if it improves human longevity? Let's ask it and see what it comes up with. And it will actually like go and, do the research to help you come up with an answer here. I want to test it on C. elegans, Drosophila, mice, and humans to see if it increases lifespan.
One thing I will say too, it's first come, first serve. So if there's an idea, as soon as we have the idea and payment, that idea is locked in. So don't sit on your ideas, because if you have it, maybe someone else does too.
Yep. So Alyssa will search like 130 million papers. Like, you're not a scientist, like, don't worry, this is what AI is for. And so it will help like identify promising compounds for you. So there's Elicit, and then there's also Storm by Stanford. This is such a cool tool also, and it will basically do the same thing for you, which is
We should make like a demo for people. Maybe, I don't know if people know these are out there.
Yeah, let's how do I, okay. What compound has the most evidence it will increase human longevity? And let me just do like natural. Don't give an obvious one.
It's never been easier to be a scientist.
It's never been easier to be a scientist.
So many tools now. It's amazing.
You have all of scientific literature at your fingertips.
Wish I would have had these tools when I was starting my PhD.
Right? A product for people that increases their lifespan. And now it will write your article, and it will just search. It will just search all of scientific literature and spit out an answer. Going back to Elicit, it's already like just freaking being a scientist for you. It's actually so incredible.
Crazy. So
stuff
crazy.
Is free. Really, like the limiting factor here is now curiosity.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the knowledge is there. It's like, how curious are you? What do you care about? And if you care about like potentially, finding that ultimate like longevity cocktail, it's easy now. It's as simple as asking the right question.
Benji, real quick, I know we're waiting on the results. Because I think this like idea of being able to query a lot of like research and publications to date, and then let's say having ideas. It seems like in the longevity space, there's maybe not like a shortage of ideas. The challenge is like getting funding for those ideas. Has there been any interest from even like, like when you look across like academia, there's like groups that like specialize more in like longevity. Has there been any interest in like any like longevity? I'm trying to think of the right word. It's slipping me, but like specialized programs, like maybe even students in those programs, like hearing about what we're doing because they can't get substrate to test their ideas, and this creates a way maybe to do it. Has there been any interest?
Yeah, there definitely has been some interest. We're talking to some members of Brian Kennedy's lab. So Brian Kennedy is a researcher at the national or the Singapore like Institute of Aging at University of Singapore, NIS, I think is the acronym. And so we're talking to some PhD students within his lab who are interested in this. And yeah, I think what it comes down to is like, and I think Logan and team that are doing DSci-EDU are finding this too. It's like you have scientists who just care about the science, and they're just like dedicated to that. That's their motivation, finding truth. And then you have people who are like, I want to pump a token, right? And I want to launch a community and, like get them excited about something. typically it's memes, but like in our case, could be research. So I think pairing those two groups together, I think is going to be the most important piece, right? Because you need both, and both have different motivators. And to hope that like PhD student in Brian Kennedy's lab is going to launch a token and be responsive to a community in Telegram is probably like a lot to ask, right? You're just not going to be able to get as many ideas if they think that they have to like manage that community, which they do. Like, I mean, that's what it takes to run a successful project in Web3. And so, I don't know whether it's like you need to pair them with, Web3 marketers, or AI agents just need to improve so that that can be a service that is scalable.
Yeah.
I think we'll see. But yeah, that's really like, I think what it comes down to. Michael, I'm super curious your thoughts there too.
No, it'd be interesting to see someone that's pursuing an academic path, like sort of spin up a compound on the platform, just and then somehow incorporate that with maybe their thesis somehow or something like this. It would have been interesting to try during my PhD, for example. Would have been cool to see.
Imagine if your PhD thesis was funded by, crypto, like how cool that would be. And by the way, like we would love to do that. Like if we can help generate data that people can use for their thesis, like, oh my God, we would love to.
Yeah,
but okay, so Storm just churned out some answers. Would love to hear like you as like a scientist, like putting on like a critical hat, like how good are these ideas? Resveratrol, curcumin, quercetin, fisetin, omega-3, carotenoids, polyphenols, alkaloids, like are these legit answers? Are they kind of superficial? What are your thoughts there, Michael?
No, I think these are great. I mean, like curcumin there's been some studies showing like lifespan extending effects. Resveratrol is kind of like, I don't know, hasn't been used for a while because it's all that's questionable, I guess. But quercetin, fisetin, like the senolytics are very interesting as well. So I think for the most part, it's quite good actually.
Awesome.
Senolytics are quite interesting molecules.
At the end of the day, it's just going to regurgitate what's already been published, right? Like it's trained on, publications. It's going to regurgitate the findings of those publications. I think where the stuff really gets interesting is when you have like ground truth based models that like actually look at like the molecular mechanism and maybe something that hasn't yet been tested and validated in the lab, but is very interesting from like a computer simulation perspective. Like this compound looks like it targets this protein, which we know is involved in aging. Nobody's tested it yet. Like, how close are we to that? Do you mess around with these like AI tools much?
A little bit. We're actually playing around with like from our data, spitting out some analytics in this regard. Actually, yeah. So hopefully hope to show that soon at some point. Yeah. So like you can spit out all the interpretation of the data and so on. So, but not so much with hypothesis generation yet. So might be an interesting combination to connect both sides.
Totally.
Yeah, but I think even too, like to me, a huge unlock is like you have an idea, 3Sol gets your idea started, and then the infrastructure is laid to do the rest. And like we know firsthand what like this I mean, we talked about it earlier. The mice experiments are expensive. And so like if you really want to see something scientifically all the way through, it ain't cheap. It ain't cheap. And so the problem that is happening in these labs, the problem that is happening just with science in general is like funding science is not cheap. And so how do you create a system that does that? And it's just like wild to me. I mean, I know obviously like from where I sit, like I totally believe in the vision of pump science, but like it is so crazy to me that you can start this process with 3Sol and an idea. And then the pump science infrastructure and like the way that the model is designed. And if, there's enough interest in the market, can create the substrate to do the rest. Like, holy smokes. I think that's so cool.
It's so crazy.
It's so crazy to me. Like,
here we go. An entire research paper, cross-species study on longevity enhancers. made for you by
What?
It's pretty amazing.
pretty amazing. I've never heard of this before. What is lonidamine? Do you know what this is?
No.
Let's test this. What the heck is this?
Oh, that's
SRT 1720. You know it?
yeah, it's used a while ago as part of the whole citrus set of molecules. So like it was kind of inspired by resveratrol and stimulating SIRT1. So
Got it. I mean, 17 alpha estradiol. I think we know that one works. We should submit that. We should do 17 alpha estradiol, right?
we're happy to test it as well. Please submit it. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
this is so cool.
It's amazing. So it also gives you like discussion, some like more in-depth interpretation as well, or how to
Mechanistic pathway, safety, translational potential.
Oh my God, we're living in the future.
Welcome to the future, guys.
Welcome to the future.
And
That
think
took
about how
like-
much it took 5 minutes. It
5
took
minutes.
literally 5 minutes. It took 5 minutes and like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, but like I think like really and truly, if it's that easy to find the idea, it should be equally as idea to execute. Equally as easy to execute it. And it's
Totally.
it hasn't been, you know,
But
like
this is just going to be data limited, right? Like all it has to work off is what's been published already, and what's published is like paywalled and closed, and you know it's not open. Like this is going to get so much more efficient if we can churn out data.
The future is bright. The future
It
is
is
bright.
so bright.
need my sunglasses.
No, you need your ski goggles.
My ski goggles. My ski goggles. My ski
Block
goggles.
out the sun. It's too bright.
I
It's too
knew
bright.
we had them for a reason. Too bright.
All right, guys.
Awesome. Well, real quick,
real.
thank you everybody for joining us for the 8-week rodeo series. There are 2 new fly studies on Pump Science. And if you haven't already, you can check out the Pump Science storefront, shop.pump.science, and you can place a pre-order for Urolithin A. If you want to get in the human study, get that 3-month subscription. If you have the 3-month subscription plus a wearable device, Apple Watch, sign up to get a Pulse device or a ring. Garmin, Whoop. You're eligible to participate in the human study, which we need more. The only way we're going to get more data is with more people. So 3-month subscription gets you in and gets you eligible. And the lab is open, 4 spots left. You saw how easy it is to find an idea. Find an idea, 3 soul, and we'll get your science going on the machines. So
who knows? Maybe you could have the next blockbuster longevity supplement. Who knows?
All right, fam. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back with Pump Science. We'll be back with more live science as we mentioned, we've got some new fly study stuff in the works. So stay tuned, and thanks for riding with us the last 8 weeks. It's been a lot of fun.
It has been so fun. So appreciative. So thankful, team.
All right.
See you guys.
In the game.
Signing off.
Much
Bye.
love.
Nice.